Okay, so let's talk about the rate of change. When you have two different quantities that we could call x and y, the rate of change is the change in the dependent variable divided by the change in the independent variable. If you're talking about the graph, this would be the slope of a line. Sometimes we call this the rise over the run. Or if we actually have coordinates, we can do y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And sometimes you'll see that subtracting the y's would be delta y. And sometimes we'll subtract the x's and call that delta x. So this is kind of like a shortcut way of saying y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And x and y, x1 and y1, and x2 and y2, those are just different points. Okay, so let's look at the first problem here. We want to find the rate of change. So I need to pick 2 points on this line that I can read easily. So I'm just going to pick this point, and I'm going to pick this point. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to do is label them. So this point has coordinates 0, 0, and this one has coordinates 6 in the x direction. And it looks like we're going by 50s here, so this would be 300 in the y direction. And then to use my formula up here, I will label x1, y1, x2, y2. So make sure you get the 1's in the same spot, the 2's in the same spot. Make sure you go xy, xy. And then I will subtract. So here's y2 minus y1. And then I have x2 minus x1. And if you were going to use your calculator, you can actually type this in just like you see it, because your calculator will even reduce for you. Here it's pretty easy because we've got some zeros involved. So, whoops, that should be a 5 down there, or 6 down there rather. So this divided by 6 is 50, and the units on top were miles, and the units on the bottom were hours. So this is 50 miles per hour. And as you can see, when we found the slope of this line, which is the rate of change, we got miles per hour, and that's the speed. So the slope of your line, if you're graphing distance, the slope of your line is your speed. It tells you how fast you go. Okay, so your rate of change or your slope is your speed. Okay, let's do another one here. So I'm going to pick a point. I'll just use this one. It has coordinates 5, 120, and this one has coordinates 1, 60. And I'm going to label them x1, y1, x2, y2, and it's going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's going to be 120 minus 60 over, and then x2 was 5 minus 1. And that gives me 60 divided by 4. And I think that's going to end up giving me 15. And the units on top were dollars, and the units on bottom were days. So it would be dollars over days, which is dollars per day. So apparently you've got some quantity here that's increasing by $15 every day. So that's my rate of change, that's the slope of my line, and that's how you calculate it using a formula, okay? So hopefully you found this helpful, and I will talk to you again soon.